All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's agent development training. I'm excited to cover some topics that we haven't covered recently, and maybe ever. There's going to be some unique new ideas, I think, that Cav will be presenting today. Him and I have been brainstorming and talking a lot over the last couple of weeks and months about some of the opportunities that are right in front of us, especially when it comes to small business America. We've obviously done some training over the last couple of weeks, specifically around ICHRA, individual coverage health reimbursement arrangements. I will be shooting out the training from last week that we did with Savvy, along with some of the certifications and documents that you need to become certified to work with Savvy. Obviously, we have both Base and we have Savvy as two ICHRA vendors that we've kind of engaged with, that I want to make sure you guys continue to understand. Sorry, I'm trying to let a few people in. And we're going to continue to deepen those relationships and understanding around ICHRA. Cav actually has been watching some online videos. He shared a few with me that I watched. I watched one this morning while I was working out just around this ICHRA opportunity, and I think it is a massive opportunity. But before we get into that, I just had a couple of quick housekeeping things I wanted to touch on. Number one, this really won't impact us day to day, but it is worth mentioning. You guys may have seen the news this morning, but Andrew Whitty, the CEO of United Health Group, actually is stepping down, and Steve Hemsley is stepping back into that CEO role. He was chairman of the board for many, many years and was past CEO. So again, this won't impact our day-to-day operations, but you will see the press releases if you haven't been online yet today, that there are some changes at the very top of the food chain when it comes to United Health Group. I will say, for those of you who have been in the business a while, Steve Hemsley is actually a friend of Health Markets. He is close friends with Ken Fazzola, who is a gentleman that served as our president and CEO for about 9 years. And so Ken recently had a retirement party, and I know that Steve Hemsley was actually in attendance at that retirement party, so they're pretty tight. So I don't think that hurts us. I don't know how much it actually helps us though either. So, but that is some just hot news kind of off the press here today. So I wanted to mention that. I also wanted to remind you guys of the training calendar that is out there on the Resource Center. I would ask all of you, especially new agents, you need to be in as much training as you possibly can. You've got to immerse yourself in the business and start wrapping your head around things. And so I would just tell you, if I was, in my first 18 to 24 months in the business, or I wasn't yet a tier 2 agent, I would be absorbing all the training that I could possibly get into. And so you just got to make sure those are on your schedule. Go out to the Resource Center, the main page of the Resource Center, and you can actually scroll down and see the training calendar. And I'd say weekly, you want to look at that just to make sure you're not missing anything. One other thing that I just wanted to mention, this is kind of a weird conversation, but there are a number of organizations out there that are actively soliciting agents across the country to provide them with leads. And specifically, the one that is concerning right now is there's a number of rehab facilities that are actively looking for agents who will engage with them and write business on people who have relocated to that rehab facility so that the facility can get paid for the rehab, expenses that are happening. I've actually not been involved, but I watched several of these situations unravel into complete chaos, to the point where I've seen agents lose their appointments with carriers. I've seen them lose their license. There's actually one gentleman that a long time ago was affiliated with our organization that might be going to jail over this. Carriers look at agents who engage with these facilities really almost as fraudulent agents. And so you are taking a huge risk if you choose to engage with these organizations. Now, on the surface, it sounds very benign, right? Oh, we have all of these members that we could give you hundreds of leads. You could enroll these people. They have a special enrollment period because they're moving from Indiana to California. But those are all temporary moves. In many situations, the facilities are setting up, a single address to handle all this. And they're just trying to get those people that are in for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days of rehab, they're trying to get them covered so that they can get paid is basically what it boils down to. So I would just tell you, don't touch that deal with 100-foot pole. It's not worth your career. It's not worth engaging at that level. Be very, very cautious of anyone who's approaching you and trying to get you to write a client on an SEP for ACA, and they're in a rehab facility. Okay. So not saying that we don't want to help people who are in rehab. That's a very real thing. I know some people who've worked their way through that over the years, and it's an illness, a disease. I'm not making any commentary on that. It's just that temporary move does not create a qualifying event. And so you just have to be very, very careful around that. So if you stumble into something, I just encourage you, like, lean on your leadership team. Feel free to reach out to your sales leader or myself. I'd be happy to help guide you through that if you stumble into something like that. Last thing I want to do before I really jump into the core of today's conversation is I did want to take a quick moment and just look at our agent status report. Sandra, can you see my screen okay?
I sure can.
Perfect. So I want to remind you
There it
guys.
goes.
It's what? Make it bigger?
There it goes. Yeah, make it bigger.
Bigger. All right.
You know, we're blind on this side of the fence.
I know a few of you are, so I won't call anybody out. But
Sandra.
just a reminder, 50,000 FYCRs is where you need to get to hit tier 2 status. So if you're below 50,000, that's like the big goal, the big target. To get to tier 3 status for this year, it's 115,000 rolling 12-month FYCRs. And then tier 4 status is 230,000. So we're about halfway through the month. So I thought this is worth looking at. We obviously have Ray Plagans and Kevin McIntyre, who were in the stratosphere, over 600,000. Derek's in the 500,000. Gary, Tyler, and Tony are all over 400,000. So you can kind of see where our tier 4 agents actually land. And I think this is important. I don't want to dwell on this because I know this seems like such an insurmountable task by many of you who are tier 1 or tier 2 on the call to get to these numbers. But I would just encourage you. It's very possible. These agents started where you are, and they built very successful practices. I see Kristen's on the call, so congratulations on your tier 4 status, Kristen. You've obviously built an incredible business. We have our tier 3 agents then that are in light green. Carrie Hunter is knocking on the door.
Come on, Carrie.
Great. Rick and Pam, Michelle, Troy, Jill are all within striking distance of getting there. So that's great to see. And then our tier 2 agents are in black here. And so Mr. Chapman, obviously just less than 3 years into the business, is knocking on the door of tier 3. Emily Haskins is growing every single month. Andy's had some great, traction on things. Coop and Tunison and Mike Boverhoff are all there as well. And then when we drop below the red line, these are, if you're below the red line, it just means you're a tier 1 agent right now, which means you're under 50,000 FYCRs. So I did want to really
hey, Matt Talsma.
mute you, Randy. So I did want to really compliment and encourage Chester, Jeff, and Lauren. All of you are really doing some incredible things here. Chester is right on the edge and knocking on the door of getting to tier 2. So great work. Chester was actually recognized last Friday night as the top new agent on Derek Mabry's team. So that was really great. Actually, the number 2 agent on Derek Mabry's team. Jeff Armstrong was recognized as the top new agent on my Indiana sales team. And Lauren was able to attend our award ceremony as well. So I did want to give you the 3 of you kudos, along with Randy DeVries. Randy's only been 7 months in the business, but up over 24,000 rolling 12-month FYCRs. That's great to see. Maggie, I know you're juggling a lot of different things, but 11 months in, over 23,000. Todd and Justin are obviously all, that 10-month and 14-month. So that's great to see. Duke's, only 6 months in and knocking on the door of 15K. So that's great. Seth and Cole, around that 12,000 range. And then you can kind of see where everybody else lands. We obviously have some new agents that have recently hit first new business. So Kaleo, Bernard, Joe Lorenzana, Ashley's just a few months in, and Bryson. So we want to continue to help you guys continue to grow your businesses. And then the thing that really excites me is there's a lot of you who have not yet hit first new business here and still have zeros by your name. Our hope and our goal is that we can get you up and running quickly. I would just encourage all of you. You've really got to focus on the things that drive a successful practice right now. We talked last week. Steve talked a lot about building your cookbook and then executing that cookbook to design. I've had some conversations with a few of you since then, and I would challenge every single one of you to go back and make sure that your cookbook is written well, that you have a definitive plan. And then the second piece of it is making sure that you're executing that cookbook to design. As I've had conversations with new agents, I get more and more conversations and questions around, well, am I talking to the right people? Am I doing the right activities? What am I saying? What am I doing? I think we've got to go back to the two most important things: build your cookbook and then execute it to design. Then we can start working on scripting and sales process and, building your business from there. So I'm going to continue to beat that drum. I know Steve is, I know the rest of our leadership team is as well. So go back to that goals and game plan, your map of life, your performance tracker spreadsheet. I would challenge you, if you're not doing a PTS, why? We have a lot of you that are, but if you're not, why not? Is it that you don't have a plan? Is it that you don't want to track yourself, that you don't want to be accountable to yourself? Those are the only reasons I could think of that you wouldn't want to do a performance tracker spreadsheet and actually be able to analyze the data around your business. So I'm going to really challenge you. If you're on my Indiana sales team, I'm probably going to challenge you a little harder than if you're on somebody else's sales team, because I do think this is a really important part of becoming successful in this business. You may not have to do these things forever. You may choose to, but once you get to tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, you have a little bit more choice in how you're going to manage your business. But in the beginning, if we're going to pour into you, I really need you to track what you're doing and build your cookbook and execute it to design. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Mr. Cavajola. He's really going to be focusing today on lead creation by engaging with Small Business America. We've been testing some things and trying some things in different markets. And so I think we have some successes, some really limited successes to share. And yeah. Oh, I saw your text, Cav. I'll talk to you about that later. But Cav, go ahead and take it from here. I allowed you to share your screen, so really appreciate you bringing what you're bringing today and the work you've been doing around ICRA and what this could be, for us as an organization.
All righty. Can everyone see this okay?
Yes.
All right. So one of the things that, we've been, as you know, a lot of us have been in Sandler. We're doing a mastery course and stuff. And one of the things that I've been focusing on for Sandler is this whole idea of lead creation. I think so many people, when they get in the business, they want to focus on lead conversion. What's my script? What's my presentation? Saying the right things. But to truly be successful in sales, the most important skill you need to learn, especially initially, is how to create your own leads. Whereas Silas, he's a hunter, fisherman kind of guy. You need to learn how to fish. You can go to the store and buy a fish, but you're dependent on the store. Or you can go learn how to fish and take care of yourself. And I think one of the biggest reasons why people do not succeed in sales is they're dependent on someone else to find someone to talk to. And the quickest way that you will turn your business around is learn to create your own leads. And there's two reasons why you want to create your own leads. Number one is that if you're just using internet leads and live transfers, you have a ton of competition. I mean, with the internet leads, those are going out to 20, 30, 40 reps. So you got to compete with them. And even live transfers, you're competing with other health markets reps to hit the button on the phone and answer it. Okay. Where if you go out and learn how to create your own leads, you have no competition. And so what we need to do is we need to learn to go out and talk to people and present to them a problem they didn't even know they had, and then find out if they want to do anything about it. The second reason why you want to learn to become a lead creator is now you have unlimited income potential because you're dependent on yourself. And so you can turn it on, turn it off. You're not dependent on someone else. And as the lead business continues to get more and more restrictive and more expensive, the people that do not know how to create their own leads are going to fall behind very, very quickly in this business. Now, another thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about how Sandler views prospecting. Because again, here's another reason where I think people fail in this business. It's because they approach prospecting as lead conversion, not lead creation. Okay. And so Sandler says prospecting is a series of carefully designed events meant to determine whether there's any interest in your product or service and whether it makes sense to keep talking about the possibility of doing business together. It's not an excuse to make a 30-minute sales pitch. At Sandler, this approach is called going for the appointment. Okay? So going for the appointment takes the pressure off both the prospect and the salesperson. The salesperson doesn't have to worry about which features and benefits to bring up, and the prospect doesn't have to deploy their defense mechanisms against the salesperson. Don't fall in the trap of closing the sale when all you really want to do is close the appointment. Here's another way of looking at it. Your real job when prospecting is to audition people for their role of your client. Basically, you're there to evaluate potential. You're not trying to sell them anything. In fact, you're trying to disqualify them so you don't have to waste each other's time talking to people who are not serious about working with you. You're not trying to convince anyone about anything. You're trying to figure out whether they are a good fit for you. This is called going for the no. And when you're prospecting, prospect. Go for the appointment, not the sale. Uncover some pain if you can, and if there is some pain, ask if they want to schedule some time to discuss the problem in depth. Propose a date and time and then see what happens. So I kind of like this approach to prospecting because I think so many people, when they walk into a business, their focus is trying to sell something. And you're trying to sell something to somebody that doesn't know anything about you. You know, how many of you are going to let someone in your house that you know nothing about and just let them start talking to you and hanging out and all this kind of, we don't do it. And so what we need to do is we need to go out and we need to look for people and we need to qualify to see if they're worth our time. Most of the time we walk in and we're trying to see if we're worth their time. It's just a different attitude, guys. I'm just looking for people. And again, we're gonna use ICRA as the tool, but I needed to set this stage so you'll understand how powerful ICRA really can be in this situation. So Silas, do you have anything you want to add to this before I jump into ICRA?
I don't. It's good. Keep rolling.
Okay. So actually I froze. There we go. So ICRA, this is the secret lead creation tool. And so let's just talk a little bit of statistics about why this is so powerful. So first of all, the ICRA adoption has grown rapidly since its introduction in 2020 with a reported 29% increase from 2023 to 2024. The ICRA market is expected to expand significantly in the coming years, fueled by small business owners seeking cost-effective alternatives to traditional group plans. So here's what's driving the market. Cost predictability. ICRAs allow small businesses to set fixed reimbursements around, offering budget control amid rising premiums, which again, from 2000 to 2023, the premiums have gone up 182%. That's unsustainable for most businesses. It allows flexibility. Employers can tailor contributions by employee class, and the employees can choose individual market plans, enhancing satisfaction and retention. No more one-size-fits-all health plan, okay? ACA compliance for businesses with 50-plus employees. ICRAs help meet the Affordable Care Act mandate without the complexity of group plans. And finally, there is a decline in traditional coverage. Only 30% of small business owners with less than 50 employees offer health insurance in 2023, down from 47% in 2000, pushing adoption of HRAs like ICRA. Now, the current adoption and trends, again, 29% growth from 2023 to 2024, but they're projecting a 255% growth rate in 2025. And HHS estimates 800,000 employers could offer ICRA coverage covering over 11 million employees in the next 5 to 10 years, with some analysts projecting 50 million participants under favorable market conditions. Guys, that's the definition of a growing market, okay? But here's the significance of ICRA for lead creation in our context. Number one, walking into small business owners is the most proactive form of marketing because if the door is open, you can go in. Also, there is no do not call list for businesses. Now, I know there are some businesses, maybe you're a landscaper and your cell phone's on the do not call, but most businesses are not on a do not call list, and I can walk in and talk to these people as long as the door's open. Now, most insurance agents have adopted the telesales approach and are selling across multiple states. Group brokers don't want to mess with small businesses. And so, again, the model that's happened, especially since COVID, is telesales, multiple states. Group brokers don't want to deal with the small guys. I mean, Silas, you work with Gibson, which is a big group broker. They send everyone to you because they don't want to deal with it.
They don't want to deal with any companies with less than 50 employees, whether it's group or ICHRA or anything. And that is the sweet spot for this market. And that is our sweet spot. You think about every strip mall across America that has these micro business owners in it who are trying to figure out how to attract and retain employees. ICHRA is the way to do it.
Yeah. Now, right now, there is not a lot of agents who are walking into Small Business America to discuss ICHRA plans. That means, guys, we have no competition. Okay, they're just not doing it. ICHRA is a pattern interrupt approach that unlocks ACA sales without asking about health insurance. Because again, guys, when we walk in, we're not walking in to sell ICHRA. We're walking in to see if they're interested in ICHRA. And if they are, that is the back door into us selling ACA plans. That's how we got to look at it. So do I need to be this all-knowing, all-seeing expert on ICHRA? No. I just got to see if they're interested enough for me to send them to Base or send them to Savvy, depending on their deals. Silas and I were talking about it. If they're not going to contribute very much, I think Base is a great option. If you have someone that maybe the employees are high net worth earners, they're not going to get subsidies, then Savvy would probably be better in that situation. Again, guys, we're all learning this, so we'll figure out the sweet spot, but that's kind of how we're looking at it now. But the bottom line is we're not walking in to talk about health insurance. We're walking in to see if they're taking advantage of ICHRA. And so when they say no to you, that they're not interested, they're not saying they're not interested in you. They're saying they're not interested in a tax savings program that can benefit their employees. That's how we got to start thinking about this. And again, going back to what Sandler says, if someone's not interested in saving money and helping their employees, I don't want to work with those people. I want to work with people who want to save money and help their employees. That's who I'm looking for. Okay. And again, by focusing on ICHRA, we can generate multiple ACA clients from one business, which will accelerate our growth and save us time and money. So, anything you want to add to this before we kind of talk about how to do it?
Nope, keep rolling.
Okay. So, this is some no pressure lead creation when you're engaging in small business owners. So again, the key to this is to do what nobody else is doing, and we just got to give a little sweat equity, and we got to start walking into businesses. And there's two ways that you can do this, guys. The first is what's called a walk and talk. And to me, that's quality. That walk and talks are going to accelerate the process because you're engaging with a small business owner and you're seeing if they're interested. Okay. So a potential script might be, hi, my name is Steve and I'm with Health Markets. I was stopping by to see if you were taking advantage of the IRS approved ICHRA benefits plan for small business owners that went into effect in 2020. Again, guys, that's a pattern interrupt. They have no idea what this is in most cases, other than it's an IRS approved deal that went into effect 5 years ago. That will create some curiosity. And so a lot of people will say, well, no, what is it? Well, the ICHRA is an alternative to the traditional group plans and allows you to reimburse employees tax-free for their individual health insurance premiums and other medical expenses. This can save you money compared to traditional group plans since you've set the budget and only pay for what's used. Are you currently offering health benefits to your employees, or have you ever considered it? So now we're going to see where they're at. And if they have group and they're not happy with it, they've thought about it, but they thought group was the only option, Well, I'd love to set up a quick 20-minute chat to walk you through how ICRA works to see if it's a good fit for your business. When would be a good time to connect this week or next? So that's going for the appointment. I'm not going to go in there and do a dissertation on what ICRA is right now. I'm just going to see if they want to meet. And if they start asking questions, I know what we all want to do. We want to start spewing our knowledge on them. Guys, you have to learn to rein it in, because I have talked to reps that they found someone who were interested in learning more, and by the time the rep got done spewing all the knowledge to them, they're like, I don't think that's going to work for us. So again, I would think it's just a little better to just go for the appointment so you can come back and do a professional presentation with professional tools. All you're doing right now is seeing if they want to meet. Now, the other thing is there's people on this call like me who I don't want to engage anybody, okay? I just want to drop some stuff off. So that's what's called a walk and drop, and that's more quantity. With walk and talks, I don't have to do as many. With walk and drops, I'm going to have to do more, but I'm at a point in my business where I don't need to speed up the process. New people, you may want to speed up the process, but if you just want to go in there, drop some off, again, I'm just dropping off some information. If we can ever help you, just let me know. And then pick up a business card if one is available at the business. And then also look for community boards to get additional business cards. Okay. So those are the two ways that you can engage in a customer. You can go in and try and talk to them, or you can just drop stuff off, grab a business card, and then move on to the next process. And so the next process would be emailing the small business owners. So if I've got the business card, I'm going to enter the name of the business and the email address into the CRM over the weekend. And on the following Monday, I'm going to send out the following email. Now, the email is going to depend on where I got the business card. If I got it from a walk and drop, the subject line is going to be, I stopped by your business. If I got a business card off a community board, I recently came across your business card. Now, again, with my high-tech world, how I do it is when I walk into a business and get a card from a walk and drop, I put it in my right pocket. When I get a card off a bulletin board, I put it in my left pocket. And that's how I know which cards are which. And then you can put them in the CRM where there is one little thing you can put it on walk and talk, and then the business cards off community boards you can put in as local. And then that way you can separate the two. But the subject line is the same. Looking for a smarter way to offer employee health care? Discover the power of ICRA, an IRS-approved benefits plan for small business owners. Why ICRA? Saves money. Control costs while offering competitive benefits. Employee choice. Let your team pick the health plan that fits their needs. Simple setup. We make it easy to implement and manage. With ICRA, you can provide a personalized, flexible healthcare benefits that attract top talent and keep your budget in check. Ready to learn more? Visit my website for details, reply to this email, or call us to schedule a quick chat. Let's revolutionize your business strategy together. Guys, I went on Grok 3. I said, create an email for ICRA. This is what came out. AI is freaking amazing. I mean, I just said, I want this to be short and sweet. Just create an email for AI, and this is what came out. Okay. So we can send the emails out. The next thing we can do is we can call the small business owners. Now, one way that you can do is you can call after business hours. Because, so hi, this is Steve from Health Markets. I'm following up on an ICRA email I sent recently. It's a cost savings IRS approved alternative to group insurance for small businesses. Can we chat to see if you could benefit? Call or text me at this number or visit my website. Thanks. Now, if someone answers the phone, I'm sorry, I got the wrong number. I mean, the whole idea here is not to engage. Now, I'm about ready to go to another slide from Randy DeVries. It was an email because he's starting to do this, and he kind of took a little different spin on this. But basically, this was what he was doing because him and I have been working on this for a little bit, and this was an email he sent me. So what he's doing is he bought a list of leads of businesses and he sent them a mailer, And then he's following up with, hi, this is Randy DeVries from Health Markets out of Granville. Lets him know he's local. I'm following up on an ICRA flyer I sent recently. ICRAs are cost savings, IRS approved alternatives to group health insurance for small business owners. Do you remember seeing that? And he's telling, is Randy even on the call? Because I know
Yes,
he had
he
an
is.
appointment. Hey, Randy, can you run through this?
Yes. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yeah.
I had an
This
appointment.
is your world. You kind of tell them how this is working for you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to give Steve some kudos here because he and I have been working together, and some of the stuff that you're going to see here is just literally what Steve put together. So, but he's been very helpful, I think, helping me kind of develop this process. And I've been very, very comfortable for years walking into businesses. So this is really a natural for me. So I'm just following up, primarily making phone calls right now because I've sent out so many mailers. But it's interesting on the phone call, as you walk through there, the responses that I'm getting are, yes, I passed it on to the owner. Well, that opens the door for you to identify maybe who the decision maker is. So that's one thing that I think you want to cue in on, try to figure out who that may be. And then I get an email typically from the person who answers the phone call. And then I can re-email that to that person if that wasn't the person who initially got it. Um, but sometimes I just ask a question, do you currently have employees on a group plan that they love? Well, generally that's gonna, you know, that's gonna stipulate some sort of a response as well. Some people will say they love it, and some people, will will obviously answer no, which again allows me to do what Steve just talked about, getting the information, entering into the CRM, putting in as a sent email, and then following up with a phone call, and then they get to get the drip campaign. So that's basically what I've been doing. I'm in a small town right now. I'm going to be walking into businesses and using the script that Steve came up with, and I choose to try to get dialogue going, just because I'm very comfortable with that. So, and I'm getting better at it. I'm not perfect when it comes to a lot of this stuff, but I feel like the more you do it, the more you get responses, and then I just bounce it back off from Steve, and then Steve and I tweak it, and it's been very, very effective. And I think the biggest thing for me is I have a sense of hope in doing this, rather than the health markets leads that just were kind of discouraging. So I think this is a great way to go. So I appreciate Steve kind of helping me develop the process here, and it's been very effective.
Thank you, Randy. Silas, do you got anything you want to add to that before I move on?
No, I just think it's fun to see a newer agent like Randy getting excited about this process. To me, the whole walk and talk process, I've always believed is probably the most proactive, aggressive way that you can build your business. And so figuring out how can I build a process? And the beauty of, I think, this process as we teach it and train it, whether you're leading with health insurance or you're leading with ICRA or something else, it's really, the fact that you're accomplishing multiple things and multiple touches with each consumer that you engage with. I think about the act of walking in and dropping off a marketing piece of some sort, maybe trying to have a conversation, maybe not, picking up a business card, getting that business card into your CRM, doing a follow-up phone call the next week, sending a follow-up email, and then sending a direct mail piece with their business card attached to it. You start thinking about building out the performance tracker spreadsheet and what your points are going to be each week. One walk and talk can turn into 4 or 5 different points over a week or 2 week time frame if you're doing it right. And on top of all that, you're also building out your CRM with a list of small businesses in your area that you've walked into that you're now going to drip market on for the rest of eternity until their trigger event happens and they reach back out to you. So I just don't see a better way. I think many of you have gotten on the crack cocaine that we refer to as leads, whether it's live transfers or incoming internet leads. We want to get you off the crack. And I think the best way to do that is to get out and engage with small business America. They are like you. They have the same needs that you have. You understand them better than anybody else because you're also self-employed. These people have money to spend, they have assets to protect, and they don't have the time or oftentimes the HR department that's in a place to do it. So to me, this is so ripe for the picking. I just wish more of you would take the initiative to get out and say, hey, I'm going to go walk into 50 businesses this week or 100 businesses this week or 200 or 300 businesses this week. That is very possible. So
well, and I want especially you new people to understand this all seems very new to you because of the lead business. This is not new to Silas and I because this is how we started, because we started before there were internet leads. We would have a meeting on Monday morning. We'd get maybe 5 to 10 crappy telemarketed leads and maybe a couple of direct mails that we thought were gold. But that was all we got for the whole week. And so we had to go out and we had to lead create. And I just think that, you know, with the invention of the internet, I think when COVID hit, I think this whole thing just made us all get away from the basics of being a lead creator. Now, you don't have to be a lead creator forever. Eventually, you are going to get good enough at this to where you're going to get referrals. You're going to get people finding you on the internet. Now, all of a sudden, it's not so reliant on this, but as a new person, you've got to do this. And so to end the process, I agree with Silas. Once you've shot them an email, once you've done a follow-up call, send them a direct mail with their business card attached to it. Again, it's a pattern interrupt, or open up a phone book. You know, all the phone books now, order one. They're just business listings now. Do the business white pages where you just start again hitting these people. I'm going to walk in, I'm going to direct mail them, I'm going to shoot them emails, and that just becomes your process. And when you get in the habit of doing 200 to 300 of these every single week, whether it be, you know, my process is very simple. I'm going to do 100 direct mails. I do 20. I buy stamps in packets of 20. So all I do is I do one of these a day to small businesses. I just shoot them stuff. Some of them are follow-ups. Some of them are just new people. Then I'm going to walk into at least 100 businesses a week. Okay. I'm going to, you know, when I'm out in subdivisions, I'll still do paper box and stuff, but really my whole focus on marketing is Small Business America. And Silas and I watched a video this morning, and basically, if you will look at ACA as kind of your gateway drug, that's what gets you in to sell life insurance subs. They become your Medicare clients, all this kind of guys. I do no advertising for Medicare at all. And I finished in the top 50 last year. I don't do any advertisement for life insurance. Everything is about ACA. I build my ACA business, that leads me to everything else. So with that being said, let's talk about some marketing pieces that I would recommend to do this. The first is this is a relatively new trifold that's on marketing on demand. And it just says, take control of your health benefits cost. But the thing about this is it's just asking if you want to do a free benefits review for about 20 minutes. Now, there's stuff in there on why you can do it, but I like this piece because it's just asking the business owner, hey, do you got 20 minutes? You want to review this stuff? There's some other things I might be able to help you. There's health savings account, HRAs, personal consultation. So that's the first thing I do is I went to marketing on demand and I have these. The other thing I have done is I've gone to base, or you can go to the resource center under base, which is under association, I believe. And they have an ICRA PDF. So you can go get this printed out. I would recommend printing in color, but guys, if all you can afford is black and white, fine. Do black and white and you mirror those two things together and just start handing them out. So if you walk in and you're talking to someone and you're engaging them like Randy, you know, hey, I don't have a lot of time right now. Here's some information you can review. I just want to see if you want to get together and do this. Or you can do just the walk and drop and, hey, I'm just dropping off information from your business. So those are the two marketing pieces that I think really tie well into ICRA. The small business trifold with the 20-minute review on it, and then this ICRA piece where they can read it over. Now, if you find somebody that's interested in meeting with you, we have what's called a business survey, which is a great fact finder initially. It's very small. Guys, it's just a little 2-page things. You can get these right on there, but this is a pretty cool fact finder for just that 20-minute appointment. So it'll ask them, just check these boxes, but how do you prefer to shop for your health benefits? Do you currently offer anything? Do you currently have an agent? And then it's got, are there any things that are important to you? And then the back page actually has where you can gather their information as a lead card. So this is a great way to get just to learn a little bit about the business, because if they don't want to do it, here's why this is so important. If they decide they don't want to do an ICRA, but they have some things checked in here that are important to them, can you pivot to those things? Again, this is not just about whether they want to do ICRA. I just want to see if there's other things on the table that even if they don't want to do ICRA, they're happy with their group plan. There are other things that I can talk to them about that they didn't even think about. And then I've got the information on the back to do it. Now, when I go and do the presentation, that's where I would use, if they are interested in pursuing this, we have a fact finder for employers. Again, it's got the company profile, and then it's got similar questions, but not so similar to it's kind of expanding on what the survey did. And this is where you can start gathering the census so that we can get a hold of Base, or we can get a hold of Savvy. They can print us a report on where the cutoff line and all that kind of stuff is, which again, this is a work in progress. We're going to learn this stuff. But these are tools that I can use where I can look very professional. Okay, I'm not just writing their stuff on a notepad or a napkin or something crazy. So carry some of these business fact finders around, carry some of the surveys around, but you use the survey when you initially engage. You use the fact finder if they actually want to meet with you and are very interested in learning more. So any questions on that? Or Silas, do you have any comments before
Stacy, I was
What's
gonna
that?
say, see, Stacy has a question. I can't speak today. Do you do the I'm not sure, Stacy, do you survey in the 20-minute appointment or have them fill it out on walk and talk, then interested in appointment?
Yeah, if you do a walk and talk and someone's interested, okay, let me gather a little bit of information and just fill this out, please. And then write the date and time of the appointment, whatever. And yeah, this is what the survey is, what you're going to use to gather. It's kind of a mini fact finder. You just want to learn a little bit more about the business.
Hey guys, I just want to mention here, like, just like your presentation, just like your client engagement, just like every aspect of running a successful practice, you want to take what we're teaching you and make it your own, right? You may find that something works a little bit better for you than a different way of doing it, or you like this option a little better than another. I think about a walk and talk. I think there's various ways of doing a walk and talk. There are walk and drops, there are walk and talks. There are doing small business surveys. There's a lot of different ways. We're not trying to tell you this is the way you have to do it. We're saying here are some ideas and some thoughts that you should take, and as a business owner, leverage them to build out a process that's going to work for you, right? And then when you have some success, I'd love to hear about it, because it's just a matter of doing the work. It's not exactly how you do it. It's really just getting out there and engaging with small business owners and having the conversations.
Well, and it's like what Randy did. I kind of talked about walk and talks and following up emails and stuff. Well, he attached that to, I'm going to send them a letter first and then I'm going to follow up. So I agree with Silas. I mean, we're just spitballing this stuff here right now, guys, because this is new to all of us. But again, just in the little sample we have, and I think Maggie's on here too. I talked to her, and she was doing some, and she was just bringing up this ICRA stuff. It changes their perception of you, and a lot of them are interested in at least learning more. And that's half the battle, because when you can start engaging with people that are at least interested, you feel like you're not wasting your time. When I'm calling up 50 leads and none of them are interested, it feels like a huge waste of time. When I'm answering all these live transfers and they just want their 1095 form, it feels like it's a huge waste of time and money. Guys, other than investing in some of these tools, this isn't a very costly thing. And I'm almost wondering, hey, if I've got Lead Connect money, am I better off buying this kind of stuff versus buying leads? I mean, I'm just throwing that out there because I think the return on investment will be much better in this than the other things. But now let me tell you why you would want to consider this. The reason that you would want to consider this is I want to talk about the ACA income opportunity, because I think in our office, Medicare is a big, big deal. We have a lot of people making a lot of money on Medicare. And so there's a lot of people like, I don't even want to deal with ACA. And I was one of those people. I was almost to the point where I'm just going to quit worrying about ACA. I'll work it. But over the last few months, I've really changed my thinking to where I'm not going to focus that much on Medicare. Sorry, Silas. I mean, I'm going to get my 2 or 3 deals a month just with my clients turning 65. I'm going to get referrals. The open enrollment's coming. But as I really started looking at this income opportunity for ACA, because here's the game changer. ACA used to get an amount the first year, and then it would drop way down the second year. That's not the case anymore. It's a lifetime renewal, just like Medicare. But the beautiful thing about ACA, it's per member, not per policy. And so when we look at this for a second, and I'm using Indiana, so CareSource and Ambetter, if I could walk into a business that had 5 to 10 employees, and I really could hit 50 people in one deal, okay? But I like to break my goals down into 50, okay? So if I write 50 new members, which again, if I write a husband and wife and 2 kids, that's 4 members right there. And so for a tier 1 agent with CareSource, that's going to increase your monthly earnings $715 a month that you can count on. It's a salary. If I'm on Ambetter, it's a little bit less. If I'm tier 2, it's 800. Tier 3 is 871, and a tier 4 on CareSource is 910. So for every 50 members, I'm increasing my income $900 a month. When I get to 100 as a tier 1 agent, and I'm just going to use CareSource because it's on the top, but now I'm at a $1,400 a month salary, or an $1,800 a month salary if I'm tier 4. At 250 members, I now have a $3,500 a month salary at tier 1, a $4,500 a month salary tier 4. And if I hit 500 members as a tier 1, it's $7,000 a month. Well, I guarantee you, if you have 500 members, you're probably not tier 1 anymore. Because here's the big thing that people talk about. Well, ACA doesn't offer any FYCRs. Here's my answer to that. When was the last time you used FYCRs at the grocery store? Guys, get your FYCRs from Subs and Life. Look at Medicare and health insurance as your salary. Yeah, we get a little FYCRs from Medicare. Don't let the fact that you don't get FYCRs from ACA deter you, because this is the fastest money-making opportunity that we have out of anything. Because I can get so many people. In Medicare, to get 50 clients, I got to find 50 different people. In ACA, I might only need to find 15 people to get 50 members in ACA. Lot less sales, lot less people to find. And then when I'm on the ACA, if I can learn to sell the GRIC products, life insurance, I can build an income that can get me to 6 figures a lot quicker than Medicare. And here's the other thing, Medicare is so hard to market in. I believe the best list for Medicare is your ACA people turning 65, referrals, and finding you on Google.
Amen.
Build your ACA business, and that will create a robust Medicare business down the road. But when you all of a sudden, if you have 500 care ACA members, and then you have 500 Medicare members, guys, you're making $300,000-$400,000 a year. And it's something that will maintain. Yeah, you're going to lose a few people on the end because people pass away, they go get group insurance. But again, if we just really focus on building our ACA business, everything else will fall into place. So with 4 minutes left, anything else, Silas?
Well, I just
That's
think
the
too,
first time you saw this. Did you like it?
yeah, I think it's great. I mean, it's what we've been talking about for a couple of weeks, put into a pretty format, you know what I mean? So none of this is rocket science, but it's this whole idea of taking your practice and going, shifting it from one to one to one to many, right? And I think you think about that. I think about a new agent walking in. Let's say you walk into 50 businesses this week and one of them is interested in looking at an ICRA. You have that conversation, and one small 10-person group decides they want to move forward with an ICRA. That was just 10 new appointments that you had with potential of several people in each one of those families. I mean, I would tell a new agent getting started in the business, if you can find one 10-person ICRA per month, you're going to be okay. Right? I mean, that's 2.5 new clients a week. If any of you could find 2.5 new clients a week consistently over time, you're going to be okay. You're going to have enough cash flow. You're going to have enough activity. Things are going to be happening. And so I do think this is an enormous opportunity. I actually had a meeting last week with Dan Garrison, our president, just because I was so excited about this. And I said, I think we're missing the boat. This whole idea of we've got to become, lead creators. I think that Cav is spot on with that. He pulled that straight from Sandler. I think the idea that small business America is open and ripe for the picking, 100% accurate. Most agents out there are trying to figure out the easy button. They're trying to figure out how to leverage social media, which I think we should use social media, but they're also trying to figure out how can I do this without actually doing the work, right? To me, walking into small business America and then having a robust follow-up process, there is no other lead generation technique that is going to work like that for you. So a few comments that were in the chat box that I just wanted to get to. Boy, you guys had a
That's okay. And can you share these slides and the recording afterwards?
yeah, for sure. So I think we answered a couple of them. Zach said, preach it, Cav, crazy opportunity we have. And then commented on, building your Medicare book out of your existing book of business. Your Medicare appointments are a lot less likely to be secret shoppers, which, somebody checking you out. And then Maggie said, even if the employer doesn't want the ICRA, most likely they have employees in the marketplace if they don't offer insurance. And
you become the extension of the HR department, in other words.
Yep. And I do think there's 100% accuracy on that. Sometimes they're not interested in jumping through the hoops or doing much for their employees, but they just want somebody that can help their employees without them. So I do think there's a huge opportunity there as well.
Yeah, we have a couple of employers like that, Silas.
And guys, I want to share one thing with you. I think there's three things we need to be looking for when we're doing this. And the one that's the least popular, in my opinion, are the people that already have group. Now, there are going to be some that they're going to have to switch out, so that would be something. But I will tell you, the two biggest groups I have with ICRA is one is they create an ICRA just to have an open enrollment for their employees. They make it unaffordable so the employees can chase subsidy, but they're willing to pay $600 or $700 a year just so when people come in, they offer like $50, $100. And then if the person goes on the marketplace and they're willing to take an HSA plan, the business will put money in their HSA. They don't want to mess with their premium, but they will fund an HSA. And then the other thing is, like Sandra said, I have a lot of businesses that don't do anything just because I've introduced myself to them. I'm their human resource person where they're like, we don't offer anything, but we have a guy that we'll send you to. He'll get you hooked up. Because that's one of the biggest reasons is employees understand there's going to be businesses that don't offer insurance, but their biggest fear is, I don't know where to find it. So when they say, here's a guy that you can call, that's probably my biggest number of employee groups is they don't do anything for their employees except refer them to me. They're centers of influence. So that, and then, funding an HSA instead of funding premium. I try to talk a lot of these businesses out of the premium paying business. Let the government do it. I mean, Silas has a great way of talking about, having, what do you call it, Silas? Three payer system or something like that.
Yeah, and we'll probably. I'm just thinking as we're talking about this. This is a great conversation for next week because we are running out of time. But if you think about it, an employer who offers traditional health insurance to their employees, it's a two-payer system, and there's two sets of cost. There's the premium, and then there's the out-of-pocket deductibles, copays, co-insurance, maximum out-of-pocket. That is on the table as far as potential risk, and we use that in our potential risk calculation. The two combined, right? Well, the way most employers set it up if they have group insurance is that they are paying half of the employee's premium and none of their out-of-pocket or deductibles or maximum out-of-pocket. So it's a two-payer system. The employee and the employer are sharing the costs. When we move to an ICHRA platform, especially for companies with under 50 employees, and we'll dive a little deeper into that next week, but when you have less than 50 employees, you can set it up so that the employee and the government are partnering to pay the premiums, and the employer is helping fund the deductibles and the out-of-pockets through HSA contributions. So you're moving them from a two-payer system to a three-payer system. Very simply, employers are like, I like that. It's taking a lot of the burden off of my shoulders and off of my employees' shoulders as we shift this risk and bring in one other payer, which is the federal government, through the federal subsidies that are available. So,
Hey, Silas.
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
I've got 3 appointments with small businesses today, so this is working.
It is working. That's what Cav and I are talking about. I'm like, all right, but do we have a result yet? Do we have a result yet? Randy, go get a result today, huh?
Yeah, and like Cav said, I have one business that's got 10 employees that have never offered insurance. That's met with base. I have another auto repair shop that I'm meeting with today. And I've got a 5-employee company that I just met with at 9 o'clock this morning down here in Hastings. So
that's awesome, buddy. Congratulations on
activity produces production.
Yep.
APP.
So Stacy asked, I'll answer this question, then we'll wrap things up. She said, so if the employer just pays towards HSA, then money doesn't count for employee to not be eligible for marketplace subsidy. That's correct, 100%. Because when an employer, and we'll talk about this next week, when an employer funds an HSA on behalf of, for an employee, that money is a tax write-off for the employer, and there's no taxable consequence to the employee to receive that money, and it does nothing to disturb subsidies in any way, which is a beautiful thing. So we'll talk a little bit more practical around some of these things. Cav, I'm just thinking next week, I think I want to talk about the differences between companies with under 50 employees and over 50 employees. And I want to do an HSA education next week as well. Because I think HSAs, we want to make sure you guys understand those really, really well.
And just know that ICHRA's, when an employer does start an ICHRA, it does create a special enrollment period for their employees.
And keeps that period open year round so that as they add new employees, and you think about it, a lot of employers might hire somebody who hasn't had a loss of coverage in the last 60 days, may not otherwise have a qualifying event to get coverage. Now that they're gainfully employed and making money, they want coverage at that point in the year many times. And so having that ICHRA open keeps that opportunity open for new employees coming into the group to get coverage as well. So I wanted to ask really quickly if any of I see maybe Kristen had to jump. Kristen, are you still on? Did McIntyre have to jump too?
I'm here. I'm
Okay,
here,
Kristen.
Silas. Yep.
Do you have any thoughts on this? I know, you're a tier 4 agent producing you chose to be here today, so thank you for that. But any thoughts or comments?
Well, I'm here because I want to learn, right? It's just something different. It's something new. It's another strategy. I've always thought the way to grow the fastest is to turn on multiple faucets. You can't just rely on one effort. So, we're here today to learn and try to incorporate the strategy as another faucet to turn on.
Yeah, I love that.
Love
I
that
love
analogy.
Hey, Silas, Base just sent me the presentation. You guys will see it.
Let's wait till next
We
week.
have time
Next week.
All right.
Next week. I'm gonna punt on you. Next
But it
week.
just showed up, and it's pretty sweet.
It's a teaser.
Yeah, you got to show up next week to see it, people.
Guys, timing's everything, right? So,
Yeah.
McIntyre, I know you're incubating sales leader and building some things. Do you have anything to add to the conversation today?
Other than I hate it when Steve comes along and starts challenging me on new ways to help my business because it really disrupts what I'm comfortable and good at doing already. So thank
Get
you,
out of
Steve.
your comfort zone.
Yeah. No, this is great.
Kevin, you're welcome.
Yeah, I'm learning along with everybody else on this. This is brand new to me too, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Well, I just sent you guys the Savvy training here during the ADT training this morning, so you have that to review along with the recording from that. We're going to be scheduling a 201 with Savvy as well. And then next week, we're going to continue this conversation because I feel like we've got a lot more to talk about. So we'll keep talking about this next week. That's great because I didn't have a topic for next week until right now either. So, but yeah, we'll continue the conversations. Continue to reach out to Cav if you guys are running into questions or problems or you're seeing successes. Cav seems to be kind of the gatherer of great ideas here. So feel free to reach out to him and brainstorm with him a little bit or any of us. We want to help you figure this out. So, well, I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate your engagement, and we will reconvene next Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Take care, everybody. See ya.